So I decided to give this talk about something that is a big part of my life, but which I don't get to talk about very much. Ethical non-monogamy. Obviously, monogamy means that you have a single life partner. Non-monogamy means you have more than one partner. And ethical non-monogamy means you have more than one partner, and everybody knows and is cool with it. The flag that you see on my slide is the polyamory flag. Polyamory is a word that means many loves, and many people who identify as ethical non-monogamists call themselves polyamorists. So, when I tell people that I'm in a polyamorous relationship, their first question is usually, so how does that work then? So I shall answer this question from three angles. First of all, I look at the biology of it. I'll go into the animal kingdom and see how we animals deal with non-monogamy. Then I'll look specifically at humans and our history of non-monogamy. And then I'll look at the ethics that underpin non-monogamy. So actually, monogamy is extremely rare in nature, and fewer than 3% of us mammals are monogamous, in fact. Birds are the most likely to be monogamous, and I put it in inverted commas because when you look more closely at all monogamous animals, you find that in most cases they're not entirely monogamous. It's just the label that is put on them. So it's actually something else most of the time. For example, serial monogamy. So you have a pair of boobies in this picture doing their courtship dance. These are classed as monogamous birds. But this time next season, this bird will have forgotten this bird's name. This bird will be bouncing up and down with a completely different booby. They are serial monogamists, as many human beings are. In fact, most of us have a string of exes in our past, and many people get married more than once. Situational monogamy also happens a lot in the animal world. So, for example, you might imagine a small animal in a huge landscape, and it's trying to find a mate, but the other members of its species are very few and far between, and it might be that only once in its lifetime will it manage to find a mate. So think about the anglerfish, for example, down in the deep, dark ocean. Very small fish, very big ocean, very dark. When a male finds a female anglerfish, he latches onto the female anglerfish and he stays stuck to her for the rest of his life, because that's probably his only chance ever to find a female. So in that case, they are technically monogamous, but they don't really have a choice about it. And then there's enforced monogamy, which has a phenomenon called mate guarding, where one gender will essentially cock-block the other gender so as to prevent it from being as non-monogamous as it might otherwise wish to be. In human psychology, this apparently occurs in both genders, which suggests to me that actually many of us don't deep down believe that our partners are naturally monogamous. I wanted to say something else about that, but no, can't think what it was. So, okay, so let's look at testicles. In our closest relatives, our cousins, the great apes, it has been discovered that there seems to be a correlation between testicle size and degree of monogamy. So, for example, in the orangutan, which is the most monogamous of great apes, I hope you can see the picture, it's a bit unclear because of the lighting, but he has extremely small testicles. And when I say the orangutan is monogamous, what I really mean is he's incredibly antisocial. So most of the time the orangutan doesn't want to tolerate the company of other orangutans, but during the mating season, he will tolerate another orangutan's company for long enough to get laid. So as a result, he doesn't really have to compete with other males. He can pretty much guarantee that his sperm is going to impregnate this one female who isn't going to look for other orangutans because she's really antisocial as well. Our closest living relative is the bonobo. We share 99% of our DNA with this animal. This animal lives in communities where every individual mates with pretty much every other individual, and everybody is cool with it. As you can see, they have enormous testicles. Obviously, if there's a lot of mating going on, then this male needs to guarantee that at least some of his sperm is going to be passed on to the next generation, so he needs to have huge testicles. So what is the case with humans, you might ask? There's actually quite a lot of variance when it comes to human beings, and this is probably why scientists are not going to say one way or the other whether humans are naturally monogamous or not monogamous. Historically, however, monogamy is a fairly new thing. Although it has been around forever, so has non-monogamy. So the idea that monogamy is the overwhelming relationship structure is a new idea. The thing that really brought monogamy in was the advent of agriculture and industry, because that created a workforce, and in particular it created a workforce of people who are poor, which meant that there were people who were working a lot of long hours and didn't really have much time or resources to find extra partners, so they just needed to focus on one. Historically, there have been three basic types of non-monogamy that have occurred in human beings. Polygyny means you have many wives. This tends to increase the population, and there's a downside, which is that it tends to treat people as property. Polyamory means you have many husbands, and both of these things still happen today, they're just a lot less common. Polyandry tends to be a way to limit the population if you live in a limited place. In the Himalayas, there's limited land and there's a lot of polyandrous people there. Polynesians, this is kind of a joke on my part, but the Polynesian islanders, before Christianity came to convert them to Christianity, they had a culture that was very similar to our friends, the bonobos, and everybody knew and everybody was cool with it. Laws against non-monogamy really have only been around since the 20th century. And the reason they were brought in was because of the women's rights movement, actually. Which I kind of agree with them, because they were trying to get rid of polygyny, of ownership of people. And polyamorous people agree with that point of view, that ownership of people is a little bit crazy, but we just don't agree that the answer is monogamy. So in terms of polyamory and ethical monogamy, we just think about how much we own the other person, and do we have a right to say or demand permission from other people for certain things. So the idea is that you can't say to an adult human being who you love that they need your permission to feel a certain way or to do what they want with their own body. Instead of these rules, you can have boundaries about yourself, about how they treat you, about whether they touch your body and so on, but you don't have a right to tell them what to do with their body or feelings or whatever. So you can only speak for yourself. There are ethical problems that we come up against a lot in ethical non-monogamy, which is people are surprised to learn that polyamorous people can cheat as well, because they think, oh well, it's a license for cheating, isn't it? If you're polyamorous, then that just means you want to cheat. But no, because really you've made an agreement with somebody, whatever that agreement may be, and then you've chosen to go against that agreement without telling them behind their back, and you just don't tell them and you betrayed them. So it's the lying really that leads to cheating. Unicorn hunting is also a big issue in polyamory. A unicorn, so quite often when a couple decides to open up their marriage and become polyamorous for the first time, and they're all excited and they think this is a really great idea, they say to themselves, okay, we're going to get a girlfriend. She's going to be bisexual, she's going to fall in love with us both at the same time, at the same rate. She's going to help us bring up our children, but she's not going to get pregnant herself. And she's going to help us with our household, but she's not going to date anybody outside of this three-person relationship. Well, such a person is so rare as to probably not exist, and this is why she is called a unicorn. And people who try to find this kind of lady are called unicorn hunters, and we tend to laugh at them. I'm going to give you a little song to finish up with. If I can click go.
Speakers.
Oh, have we got speakers?
I don't know if I have speakers.
Put it, no, put it.
Maybe you're giving me a diagram on how to use it. Let's see if we have speakers.
Yeah.
I heard a woman talking, and to me what she said just made sense. She was lamenting the state of affairs, how some people can be so dense. She said she had 3 wonderful children, 2 girls and their little brother. And nobody gave her problems for loving each child as much as the other. But they'll say you are better, perhaps you are better, at least you should stay undercover. Your mind must be fair if you would dare to think you can love more than one lover.
And you can listen to the rest on YouTube if you wish.